Hi, everybody. I am Blake Cabot. I am the owner of FacePaintcom. And as always, we are thrilled to have the fabulous Pam Kinneberg, who is just, she's my favorite person in North Dakota, for sure.
Nice.
For sure.
Thank you.
And a fabulous face painter and a graphics designer and all sorts of things. So she's fantastic. We love having her. I have Pam as every chance I get. So you guys are in for a real treat. We're going to do Halloween boy designs today. And if you watch this video, there will be, I'll give you a link to a free contest where you can try for some free face paint. And our last winner is our own Olga Killian, who is watching us right now. Okay, thank you very much. And Pam, take it away.
All right, that sounds good. I've got I got about 3 designs. I know I'll probably make it through 2, and we'll see if I'll make it through the final one. But the first design that I'm going to do is a ghost skull. And as always, I always start with inspiration, and I kind of like to show you where I started my inspiration and how I came up with this design, sort of. So let me go through that really quick. I look at different places for inspiration, and I came across this illustration of some ghosts. I knew I wanted to do something with ghosts. I wanted to do some sort of a mask using ghosts, and these ghosts kind of sent me on this ghost skull journey. I liked the way that they were drawn. I liked the little blue shadows in them. So I thought, okay, so let's get in. I was inspired by this drawing. Then I went to my drawing sheets, my practice head sheets that I created for myself, and I started putting or drawing a ghost on there to see how it fit on the face and how I could, work the arms and the flow of the fabric and all of that. So this is where I started on this one. And I just had the arms kind of around the eyes and the bottom of the ghosts underneath. Wasn't super happy with it. And I could have stopped there and just worked with this, but sometimes it's really good to push yourself to other ideas. And so I just kind of carried that a few steps further. The next thing, design I went to, I found this more scary ghost with a scary face and different type of arms, but I wasn't really super happy with this one either, because I was kind of copying the exact illustration, and I don't really ever like to do that. I like to kind of create my own. So I sort of got rid of that idea. Then I went to another drawing, which was this one. And I'm still kind of in that same concept of the head here, the arms here. And I thought perhaps here I would do a little spider web. I don't know, I was drawing really soft, but you can sort of see a spider web underneath there.
Sure. To
combine the ghost and the spider web. And again, I was kind of like, I don't know if I like that. So I went on to another drawing, and I started to get closer to where I wanted to be. So here, I've kind of got my ghost in the same position, and then I decided to put 2 ghosts underneath. And I was experimenting here with this kind of a ghost or this kind of a ghost that has more fabric flowing. And when I got this far, this sort of reminded me of the top part of a skull. And I thought, hey, why don't I create a skull, a ghost skull created with 3 ghosts? And so I sort of worked my way into coming up with this idea. And my final drawing looks like this, where I've, if you compare it to this one, let's see, and sort of compare it to this one, I raised the sides quite high. These are a lot lower. And I added this bottom teeth area, and I chose this particular style of ghost. So I ended up with this design, and that's what I'm going to show you today. So kind of my advice when you're coming up with designs is start with an idea and keep pushing yourself to make it better and better. If you go with your first idea, there's always something better. So I encourage you to go past your first idea and do a few more drawings. And that's where I always come up with something much better if I just go past my first idea. So that's kind of my background for this design, and we'll get started painting. At that point, then you decide, how I'm gonna paint it, what colors I'm gonna use, what products I'm gonna use, and then you can just kind of make it better and better. So what I'm gonna start with is the base, the white on here. And to do that with a ghost, I kind of wanted to work with powders because the powders are a little bit more transparent, more ghost-like. And so that's the decision I made rather than using white paint, because white paint will get real opaque. And so I wanted to keep it really more ghosty.
So you use the Marrons and the Ben Nyes, or
I am using, actually, I'm using the Star Blend on this. And I'm also going to show you a couple, in the design, I'm also using some of Elise Griffith's powders.
Sure.
So, but I'm going to start with this. However, and I'm going to show this to you in my arm. If you've worked with Star Blend powders before and you're going to cover skin with them, oftentimes they go on really almost too transparent. And so this, what I'm going to show you, is a way to get past that. It's a good solution. So what you do is Elisa Griffith sells this primer. It looks just like this. And I checked, it is being sold on your website.
Great.
And it just opens up, and it's just a nice primer. It's not a concealer, it's a primer. And I actually use this for my everyday makeup on my eyelids, for my eye makeup primer, and it's wonderful. I will never go back to anything else. So it's just a really great primer. And what you do with this is that you put it on the skin first, and then you put your powder over it, and it is a much better coverage that way. So let me show you. I'm going to take some of this, and I'm just going to use my finger, and I'm going to put some right here. I'm just using my finger for this part just to show you.
And just so you guys know, I'm putting the links in the Facebook thing and the participant anything that we have that Pam mentions, I'll throw in there.
Okay, so there's where the primer goes. I think you can sort of even see it has a lighter color to it. And then I'm going to take a smoothie blender and my white Star Blends. And the other thing about white Star Blends is oftentimes they get packed, the powder gets packed in. And so you kind of want to loosen that before you start working with it. And you can take one of these types of sponges that is real rough, or you could take a toothbrush, an old toothbrush or something, and then you just give it like a little rub over like that. And it loosens up that top of the powder, and it makes it so that you've got more powder to work with. So I take my smoothie blender, get some powder, and first I'm going to put it on an area where there's no powder. Wow, this smoothie blender works great. It's better than the other ones, but that's pretty good. But when you put it over this, it's just a lot more opaque.
Yeah, it really is.
So if you can see that.
And if you guys have any questions, please ask me. I'll pass it on to Pam.
And you know what? It makes a difference. This is an actual smoothie blender, one that costs a little bit more money to buy. And these are the little cheaper lollipops.
Right.
And they don't work as well. Because when you look here, well, that was not working too bad. Well, earlier today when I was practicing this, it didn't work at all. Like it was a much bigger difference between these two. But this just goes on much, much smoother when you put that primer on first. So just a little background on that and a way to help you guys maybe use your powders more efficiently. Now that powder all over this, I'm gonna wipe that off. Okay, so I'm gonna use this kind of spongy smoothie. It's not a smoothie blender. It's like a
kabuki brush.
Okay, it's a kabuki brush, only it's just spongy. It's not like an actual brush.
Okay.
It's just a sponge. And I'm going to use that, and I'm going to apply this over this board because powders don't work on these boards really at all very well. So this actually worked pretty good. So I'm just going to rub that around in here, get some like right on my kabuki brush, and it wants to come out with this holder. And I'm just going to rub it all over his face. I'm not going to worry about where my design goes because I'm going to cover most of it with my design, but I just want to give it a nice base. I'm going to go right over his eyes. I'll be painting them black, so he's just going to.
So this design goes over his eyelids?
It goes over his eyelids, yes.
Okay.
And this, like I said, this primer is pretty transparent.
Who sells the sponge kabuki? Because I don't think we do.
You know, I got it a long time ago from Silly Farm.
Okay.
And I don't even know if they sell it anymore. I got it by mistake and I've actually never used it until I was trying to figure out a way to get this primer onto this board. And I found this, I'm like, man, I bet this would work really, really good. And it does. So I'm going to keep using this thing even on skin because the primer will go on great. All right, so there we have the primer on, and you can't really see that, which is what the whole idea is. And then I'm going to take my smoothie blender and get some powder. And then I'm going to start forming my white base of the ghost skull. I'm going to start with the head, which will go up here. You can just sort of draw it in with this smoothie blender. Is anybody on today?
Yep, they are. They're there. That's why I asked who sells the kabuki sponge. I will see if Silly Farm has that.
So you don't have to worry so much about getting this white exactly where it's supposed to be because you'll go back in with black and do your line work. But try to get it as close as you can. I'm not going to go over the eyes. I'll be doing black over them.
They do. I still got it.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it works really good for this primer. And it covers a large area. You can also use a regular kabuki brush to put the primer on. So you can do either one.
Iris says hi from Wakanda.
Well, hi, Iris.
The primer is really nice, but small and expensive. So if you're going to make 80 tigers with star blends at the zoo.
You know what? This primer goes a long way. It looks deceiving, but you can use this over and over again. I've been using this on my own face every single day on my eyelids for maybe at least a year. And it's not even hardly a dent in it. It goes a long ways. It's really worth the money that you pay. And yeah. So I will stand by that primer. It looks like it'd be used up in a hurry, but it really lasts a long time.
Also, Lucy says, also bought a smoothie blender, but the mossy white part ripped open the first time I clean it, and I was careful too.
Yeah.
I was careful. So I wouldn't recommend that, but that was one from Just Paint.
Yes, that has happened to me before too.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I was very careful with it too.
The cheap ones are hard. I mean, they're not, we sell them too. And I don't think they're just fantastic.
They aren't. I use them like all the time, and they hold up good. I wash them over and over again. But it really is a treat to use these more expensive ones because they're so much nicer. So you know, just give yourself a treat once in a while and use a nice one, and just remember how nice they actually are. Okay, so there I've got the main part of my base, and so I kind of leave it like the bottom of where a skull would go, and then once I get that part done, I know where to put my little kind of bumps for my folds on the ghost. So I know that there's going to be like 3 like little rounded areas. So their first one goes like about right here. And then the second one goes about right here as they go up. The next one will go about up here. And then the same on this side. And you want to sort of leave this little space in here, like the hollow of this, you know, part of the skull, just to kind of coordinate that. Another little bump right here. And another one towards the top. Those are going to be the folds of the ghost's fabric. This side got a little bit less defined. But there, so now there you have your base. All right. And then I'm going to put on, I'm going to use Eliza Griffith's powders. I have this case and have all my powders in here. And for this design, I'll be using this one right here, which just is a matte blue powder. And I'm going to take that one out for now. And I will also later be using this one, which is called Mermaid Bling. It's got a kind of a glittery shimmer to it. And I'll be using that later. So I'm just going to take those 2 out right now.
And this is the Color Me Pro palette?
It's the Color Me Pro palette, yes.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add all of the little shadows in here where before I add my line work. And one of the reasons I do that is because it really helps me when I'm doing my line work to know where that's supposed to go. I sort of have a guide to follow, and this is just a much maybe easier way to put in where everything's going to go because it's more forgiving since it's powder and you can sort of just blend it in. So I use one of these little chameleon blender brushes. These are super great. I love this little brush. It's just got a little tiny, you know, brush at the end of it, and it's great for powders. So I'm just going to start putting, I knew I couldn't see anything. I don't have my glasses on, no wonder. Okay.
Well, one thing about all the products from FacePaint.com is we got 25% off sale for Halloween. So
Oh yeah, that's super.
If you want to go buy stuff, now's a good time.
Yeah, that's a great deal. So I'm just going to put some shadows in here. And kind of anywhere where there'd be some darkness. Also, I'm going to put in actually his eyes are going to be all black, but they're going to be those sort of angry eyes where you sort of separate through the middle of the eyebrow. So my shadow is going to go right in there. So I kind of know where that black is going to go. You can just do this. You can always come back and do a little bit more blue later. But this gives you your guide. I'm going to do some shadowing right in the area where your eyes meet your nose. That's always a little darker area.
I'll make
And
sure.
the powders, again, on these boards just don't work the same as they do on skin. So it's a little more challenging. They end up being a little streaky, I guess. They're not real smooth because it's just harder to use on these boards. But you'll get the idea. And then right in this area, I'm going to put in shadows where the folds of the ghost will go. Mm-hmm. So I'll put one there. And all of my, the shadows are going to be going towards the center focal point. So they'll just be headed that direction. You don't want to head them up, you know, this way. You want to always keep them going towards that center. And it's really kind of fun to do. I really have always liked working with powders. I don't do it as much as I should, but I really like.
Is that a brush of filbert or?
It's just, I don't know that would be called a filbert.
Okay.
It's maybe a really short filbert.
Right. Okay.
But it's called, it's a chameleon blender brush is what it's called. Okay. I think you have it on your site. I thought you did. Well,
I'll go find it.
Okay. Look under Chameleon's brands.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I'll find it. Not an issue.
Okay. And you see these lines are all going right up here. And I'm going to put a little shade on the sides of where the teeth are going to go, because those parts are going back. This part is in the foreground. The sides are receding. And then there's going to be another little fold up here. Like that. And that's all I'm going to do for now. And all right, so the next thing I'm going to do is to give this a little bit more color rather than just blue and white. I wanted to add some red, and it's got dust. I got powder everywhere here. So I'm going to use this boomerang stencil. It is called Sunburst, and it's by the Art Factory. And it's one of my all-time favorite stencils. I use it on everything. And I'm going to use a smoothie blender with Star Blends Red for that. And I'm going to also use a little black on the ends. So I'm going to position the stencil right here.
Lucy says this is such a great design. She loves it.
Thank you so much. And then I'm just going to run this smoothie blender over, because with this one, I can really sort of dictate where the red goes, because it's easier to maneuver around the design that's already been painted on. So I just want to go around that head. Like so. And then what I want to do is just pick up some black and then just go right on the ends of the little bursts, just to give it a little interest.
Lovely.
And then you take that off.
It's called the boomerang stencil.
There. So you've got sort of a gradation of colors from dark to light. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'll do the eyes, and I'm going to just paint them in with a number 4 brush and use Craze Black. Craze Black and white are really, really great paints.
Why, thank you.
I'm just saying that. I mean, it's really hard to find black and white paints that I like, and Craze really has good quality black and white paint. So let's paint in the eye. And again, you know, this board, the anatomy of the eyes is a little different than in reality. These eyes are super big. There's a lot of room between the eyebrows and the eyelid. So you have to kind of think about that as you use these practice boards, that a real face is going to be slightly different. I did paint it on myself to make sure this all worked out on a real face, and you make some adjustments. So the eyes on here are going to be quite large. And I'm going to use this sort of, you cross over the center of the eyebrow and kind of bring it up like that. To create sort of that eye that's sort of at an angle. Oops. Oh, we might have another cat fiasco here.
Uh-oh. That was my favorite moment of all
well,
time.
it's happening. Kitty.
The cat drinks.
This is a different cat this time. Here, she's a white cat. Can you say hi? I
love the cat. The cat is my favorite part of this.
Well,
goes without saying.
I don't know. They just know when I'm on, I guess, because she was nowhere to be found before this started. And this will all come together as we proceed through this design. I'm trying to do it in the way that's most efficient, you know, lay the white first and then lay your blue and the backgrounds, you know, from the ground up sort of. And so right now that looks really stark compared to the rest of this, but once we get our line work and everything in there, it'll fit this space really well. And when you're working on someone's actual eyes, it's really a lot easier to see where this part goes. Try to get them both the same on both sides, and which I should be painting the left side first because I'm right-handed. So it's easier to match if you paint the left side first, but I often forget to do that. So I'm just going to leave those as is. We'll be doing some additional line work to finish those off, but I wanted to get those in.
So how long would this design take you in real life?
It would probably take, it's definitely over a 5-minute design. You know, it's probably going to take maybe 8 to 10 minutes. I've never done it in real life, you know. I just come up with this design for the webinar tonight, but
right.
I think the more you practice it, and I've talked a lot and showed you a lot, and there's always.
Oh no. I mean, this is not real time. That's why I'm asking.
Right. I mean, and we all know that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the line work, and I'm going to use the Craze #2 round. This is a really nice round brush for line work.
And for those that don't know, this is in fact our FacePaintcom's in-house brand of brushes and face paint.
I gotta go put the kitty out of the room. Sorry.
Oh, we have kitty problems.
Yeah. Okay. Out. All right. Evidently the door wasn't closed. Okay. Sorry about that.
Bianca asks, would you share that the painting that you did on yourself in this thread on Facebook later?
I plan to do that. I have all of these designs ready to be shared, so I'll be posting them right after the class is over. And it's the one that I've done on myself.
Okay.
Definitely.
Sure.
I like to do that so that you can see that these designs work on actual people. You know, that they work within the nose and where everything is. All right, so I'm gonna just start here. And again, I try to do, oh, that was too thick, but I try to do the thick to thin line work. I started out on a bad foot there because that got really thick. But we'll try to do better. And oftentimes, I don't really always connect my lines. I leave areas open to the negative space. I think sometimes that's, it looks better than trying to do this harsh black line all the way around the whole thing. It just lets your eye move in and out of the design. And so I just come up and sort of meet that like that. So it's not, there's not a connection right here. And that really helps with the, I don't know, it just looks cooler. I think it looks better than just a straight line around everything.
Sarah, I put the link to that boomerang stencil a little higher in the discussion. So you should see it up above. It's called Boomerang Stencil Sunburst. I posted it at 5:57 in the chat window and on Zoom, if that helps.
And, you know, there are stencils you can use for the face of the ghost. There's a lot of stencils that have like pumpkin faces that you could use for a ghost face. I kind of wanted a particular face on this, so I didn't use any of those. But, you know, that's another way you can speed up this design by using a stencil for the face. But I kind of wanted to have a kind of long oval eyes like that, and the same with the mouth. Wanted it to be sort of long and oval. And, you know, there's no particular way you have to do the mouth and the eyes. It's a ghost. Okay. And then the eyes always have, I want those kind of scary eyes. So we go with that kind of furrow right there.
Sandy says that's cute.
Oh, thank you. And then you can bring down some little lines right from the point right here. And once you do this a few times, you can sort of whip through the line work because you sort of know where everything is. But that's what all designs take practice to be able to do them quicker.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and then I'm going to start in with the little ghosts at the bottom. And their heads go right in this position here. So I'm going to put a head.
Olga thinks this is really coming together very well.
Oh, thank you, Olga.
And
again, the challenge is to get these the same on both sides, which doesn't always happen, but you try. So their heads go there, and then you start in with the little folds. So just doing lines that go up like that. And again, they're going right to that focal point. Helps to be able to move this board around. You can't do that with people's faces.
It's true.
Just like that. And then I'll just do the base. This is where you Can make these folds. Like that. So that you've got these ghosts coming in this way. And then I'm going to put their little faces on, and you can just, their faces will be down here because they're looking down. So don't put them in the middle here. It's like this is their back and this is their front. So I put the faces closer, and you just press the end of the brush down. Like that. So they're, it looks like they're looking down. See, I'll go. And then to follow up with the teeth, just put your little lines in there. And they go up on the ends.
Perfect. This is looking lovely. Can you scooch it over?
Sorry, I am. You're right. Thank you for reminding me to do that. I get going and then it goes over. It's a little not in a really good spot for me to paint, so I want to shove it over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Diane wants to paint this on her grandson.
Oh, sweet. Good. You know what? We'll probably have lots of time to paint these things on our friends and family because we won't have a lot of Halloween jobs.
True.
So you can use these longer designs because you'll have more time. Now I'm taking this, it's the Face Painting Shop Flora 6. It's got a really nice little end to it. Just it's a really tiny flora end. And I'm using that for the teeth.
This is the rounded Flora 6?
It's like, it looks like a triangle at the top. Can
okay.
You see that?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
fantastic. Thank you.
It works really good for teeth because it creates that tip at the top. And one thing that's nice about painting with powders, with a white powder, is that when you put white on it for highlights, it really shows up as white because the powder is more translucent and duller. And just tilt the brush a little bit more on its side to get the end ones like that. And it makes like perfect teeth. And if you want to go back in and...
That is clever, Lori.
Thank you. Add a little bit more blue to these areas. You can do that. It's your design. You can do anything you want. Just because you did it before, you can do it again. I'm gonna paint, I forgot these earlier. These nose ones there. All right, and a little bit of black goes on the nose too. Goes up like that. Whoops, that one got kind of out of whack, but well. And then when you've got these points from the brush on the teeth, you can go back in there with the black and just do these little V's in between. Just like that. And if you wanted to go a little step further, you could take your black star blends, and I have a little, this is a little elf makeup brush. It's really tiny end to it. A lot like the blender brush, only it's a little smaller even. And you can add some additional shadows in your design. I put some right here too, because this is where that hollow goes in a skull. It goes right in this area. So by putting a little black there, gives dimension, because it shows that this is on the foreground and this is in the background. And you can add, you know, you can add some over the blue areas too to create a lot more depth. Just in certain areas, the bottoms. Can put some right here.
This is a marvelous design. It really is. I mean, it's a perfect boy design because it's both aggressive, but not too aggressive.
Right. I mean, it's more, yeah, it's kind of more fierce, but it's not terrible. I'll add at the end, I'm going to add something that you can either skip or do. It gives a little bit more, maybe, scariness to it, but it all depends on the kid. And you can add, I'm not going to add a lot of this. You can go to town and really go, you know, crazy on the shadows and making it more dimensional.
Oh, I think it looks pretty good.
I'm not going to go to town. You can see that more on the one I did on myself when I post it.
Sure.
So there's that. And then, okay, so the extra things that you don't have to do, you can stop certainly right here. But I like to add a little bit, if you want something a little scarier, I'm going to add a little blood drops at the bottom. And I just take red paint and I'm just going to add a little bit of black to it so that it's a darker red, more like blood. And load up my number 2 round brush. And then just take some of this. I always have one of these brushes on hand. It's just a cheap makeup brush and it's really cool. It looks like a unicorn horn and the kids love it. And I use it to brush off excess powder and stuff. And I always have that in my kit and I love it. Okay, so I'm just going to go down and I'll just drag down and then press my brush like the end of a drip of blood. And just make them at different lengths. And you could put some like little dots and stuff there too. But that just fills this area a little bit with some added color. But this again makes it a lot more scarier. So obviously you don't have to include this part. Just gives you some options. Like that. And then the last thing that is really cool that I told you that I'm using this mermaid powder for is I'm going to put this over the eyelids and I'm going to take a smoothie blender, pick up a little bit of this and then just brush it right over the black on the eyelids. And this makes the eyes almost glow. It's a really cool look. It's super fast to do this. I think this just really makes the whole thing right here because it takes that really dark black area of the eye and softens it a little bit. Like that. So
Great.
there you go.
There you go.
That
is fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Really well done. Beautiful as always.
Thank you. And I'll post one that I did on myself later. So the next thing we're going to go to is a spider design, and I'm going to try to do this quickly. What do we have, 15 minutes left?
Yeah, we do. So just to let everybody know while we're switching designs that Linnea Overby Novak is going to do on-the-job Halloween designs next week and followed by Mandy Gibson, a Halloween 101 webinar. So that is our Halloween series. And we have a 25% off sale for for all face paint on FacePaintcom. And again, hang on for that link. I'm going to put the link for the webinar for the contest to win free face paint if you watch the rest of this. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to just start with painting. This is going to be it's called Spider Attack. And it's like a spider is coming out of his eye cavity and having little babies and stuff come out. So the first thing is I'm going to paint this eye, and I'm going to make it look like, you know, that his eye is just like a cavity. So this is all going to be black, and it's going to be cracked, like, you know, like his skin is cracking. But instead of just doing a random crack, I'm going to make the crack look like a spider web. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to start with some And you want to just let these lines sort of be a little, not straight, but little crooked and such. And then this one, it's going to be our longest line, and it goes up there. This is a great brush. I love this brush. It's the first time I've used it because I haven't done any face painting since I ordered it. I
Wow.
love this brush.
And what's the brush?
It's your brush. It's Craze
Okay.
FX #2 round. It's
Okay.
got a wonderful fine point, and the bristles are stiff enough, so it's really nice to use.
Well, thank you for the recommendation.
Oh yeah, I love it. So I'm just kind of drawing up like the spokes, I suppose, of the web, and I'm going to fill this in a minute. And you want to, underneath the eye, and it's always hard to paint underneath the eye. I'm going to have the spider coming out from about here. So I want to paint down a little ways so I have room to put that spider coming out. So I'm going to do like that and just kind of go up. So now I'll just fill this in, and I'm painting right over his eye because it'd be like painting over his eyelid. Try to do this as quick as I can. I would switch to a different brush to fill this in real life because this one will take a while. But on this board, it doesn't matter because it's flat and whatever. I'm just doing it. But I would probably paint it in with a filbert or something.
Sure.
Okay, and then I'm gonna paint the webs that go between. Kind of thick to thin. And I'll show you what I do with these. Okay, so what you want to do is sort of round off the corners so it looks hollower in there. Like that.
Thanks, Uri. Wow. Olga says that the #2 brush uses alcohol to clean it, and usually it's harsh on other brushes, but doesn't see it. Our brushes work very well. Thank you.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so something like that then. So it looks like as the cracks go up, they're actually cracking into a spider web. Then I'm going to put the spider legs on there. Now this part, you have to imagine that the spider's coming out of this inside here. And so if it helps, even though you're not going to see the black on the black, it kind of helps when you paint it to kind of imagine where that leg is coming from. So I'm going to put one leg, I'm going to start from in here, like it's coming from in here, and kind of go up with it and down. And you want to end at a nice point for your spider legs. And this one is going to come out straight.
The cracks are genius.
Thank you.
Says Bianca.
Thank you, Bianca. Bianca.
Hannah.
Okay, I was wondering if it was you, Bianca. She's my good friend. Oh, I'm glad you're watching. Okay, so I'm trying to do this in a hurry and I'm kind of nervous. So
don't be nervous.
Getting like the best in the entire world. Because I know that this design takes me longer than 15 minutes. So there's the legs. All right, and then I'm gonna leave this right there. I'm gonna let it dry. I'm gonna put some shadows in here, but I'm gonna let that dry first and go to the next part. And The next part you can do one of several ways. And I'm probably going to do the quick way on here because I don't have time for the long way. On the picture that I'm going to post will show a little bit different version. But I'm going to take this is a really old petal brush, and I use it for stuff like this. I'm going to take this and red star blends and just create some spider bite areas. And this will be the inflamed part around the spider bite. And so I'm just going to go for now and put on a few spots where there would be spider bites. And I'll show you what I will do with this. But just put on some red spots to begin with.
And what's the brush? Somebody says it's their favorite brush.
They don't sell it anymore. I think you can just use, it's a petal brush, and you can just use, oh my God, here you could use probably, you know, like a petal brush, like Mark Reed's petal brush, but just maybe a brush that has pretty stiff bristles and is pretty short, because you kind of want to have it be a little stiff. You don't want it to be real soft bristles, because you want to get a kind of a dot on there. And I'm going to just put one down here. You can put as many or as little as you have time for. And then once I have the dots on there, I just go in and brush them out. Like, you know, when you have a spider bite or whatever, there's an area of like light red around the bite.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just brushing them out to look like that. And you could do this super quick. And then once you have them brushed out, then I take a smaller brush, like the number 2 Craze Round. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put a little red dot in the middle of each one where the spider bite would be, where the actual puncture was. Mm-hmm. Like that. On the one that I'm going to post, I actually made it look sort of almost blistery. Mm-hmm. So there's, you know, you can do whatever way. This, you know, is a lot less time to do it this way. There, so there you have your spider bites. And I got 6 minutes left. At the end, I put my highlights in.
Oh, no, I mean, if you need to go a little longer, it's okay. Nobody's going to hold it against you.
Okay. In the end, when I put highlights on, the spider will come to life. You'll see why it's positioned like it is, but I'm going to wait till the end to do that. So in the meantime, I'm just putting on some little spiders. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in their little bodies first, and I'm going to put them, these are baby spiders that are coming out from the big mama spider. This is why it's called spider attack. I'm just going to put their bodies right now, and then I'll come back and put their legs on. And just sporadically put them around, but I tend to put them right where the bites are. So it looks like they're the ones that cause the bites. And then when spiders come out of something, you know, they kind of come out in hordes, like right around the opening. So I'm going to put a few more coming out of just kind of the opening, like they're pouring out of, like they were just all born. And here they all come. So a few more go right around this area. And then do whatever you have time for. You can do, you don't have to do this many. Once I have that, it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a drier brush, and then just quickly go in and put some legs on. And they don't have to be perfect because they're just small and tiny and seen from a distance. And these definitely are not going to be perfect, but it gives the appearance of little spiders. And I will show you at the end how you do this really quick with stencils. So I will show you that too, but this is actually drawing each little spider on. And again, you do what you have time for. I mean, to me, this would be scary because a bunch of little baby spiders attacking me would not be a fun thing to think about happening.
Well, there is that problem, isn't there?
Yeah. Okay, so there's all my spiders, my little bites, and now let's put the on. I'm using Craze White for my highlights and the number 2 round brush again. Can't get too much. Get it worked into a nice consistency and a nice point on there. And now here is where the spider legs make more sense, because you come with your highlight from inside this black area and highlight the legs. And this one is coming from like way back here. Down. This is where it starts to look more like they're actually coming out from in there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's highlight. This one comes up here and down. Like that. And then I'm going to use this little elf brush with some black star blends to create this shadow under the legs. So there you've got your shadow. Oh, that one kind of got. And I found that to create them a little darker at the beginning and end and lighter in the center, it's more realistic. So there's that. And then if you have time, you can take some, I'm just gonna mix, I'm mixing my black.
Everybody says they're itching.
Yeah. And then I'm just going to make a spider web in here. You can do this on the eyelid, and I'm just using kind of a dark gray paint that I mixed together. And you can just, and again, you know, this is going to look different when it's on their actual eyelid, but you can just make a suggestion that there's a web inside this hollow right there. And that's my spider attack. And then I'm going to show you, I've got this one already done. I did the same thing here, only I used stencils to speed it up. So I painted my the spider web crack, and then I did my little spider bites, and then I used an O stencil and U stencil for this spider right here coming out. I just placed it right there. Yeah.
Spider.
And you know, part of it's right in the black, so it's only the front part of it that shows here, and when it's highlighted, it looks like it's crawling out of that area. And then I used this boom, and there's little spiders on here too. You can use these, but these are just a tiny bit smaller. So I used this boomerang stencil for all of the little spiders, and super quick. And then just put some white highlights on the spiders, and you're good to go. So, you know, if you didn't want to do this version of doing all the spiders, this way you get to make them really tiny. If you wanted to do it quicker, you could do that version.
Awesome. That is terrific.
There you go.
There you go. As promised, thank you, Pam, for these fantastic designs.
You're welcome.
You got it done really quick. That second one. You managed to make it. Thank God. So for those of you that had the patience and willingness to watch this, as a special treat, we will give a prize to one lucky winner next Monday for face paint. So here you go. And congratulations, Olga. I'm sure somebody's contacted you already about getting your face paint. So thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it. And talk to you guys next Monday when we have, I think it's Halloween 101. No, on the job Halloween designs. So, okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, Pam. Have a great evening.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.